Come on, we think on public, you know.
All right, let me start recording. Can I record? Am I host?
Not yet. All right, hold on. People must ask, yo.
Shh.
All right, you're the host. You're the boss, you know.
Okay, another episode. The things I wish I knew about money. I'm your host, Camille Smith.
And I'm your co-host, your boy Dre. How are you doing today?
Oh boy, today is a day. But you know
Another
what?
busy.
Another busy day, another grand day of the
True,
life.
true. Nice. And I remember you were telling me the other day that our numbers are some. Is it like 1,500 or something like that?
Oh, let me check.
Numbers growing,
Hold
which is
on.
good.
Our numbers are definitely growing. Give me a second to look.
So how's everybody doing today? You know, those on YouTube, Facebook, wherever you are listening in, tell us how you're doing. And
Yeah.
remember to tell a friend that every Saturday, this is where we are talking about the things I know I wish about money. So while Camille look up the numbers, you know, this weekend the topic is until will do us part. I don't know if anybody's wondering what that means, but we're gonna be talking about wills, right? Because this is something that we don't grow up talking about. And it's so important, right, that we actually have a will in place. So we're gonna break that down today. All right.
Yes,
So
yes.
get your
Okay, I
tea,
got
your
you.
coffee, your beverage, whatever you want to drink, and sit back and chillax and let's discuss wills.
Yeah. So first, before we start, I'm gonna say thank you to our viewers and to our listeners. Let me just.
All right, all right.
We have 1440 listens or plays and things.
Nice.
So I'm actually ecstatic. I'm like, what? And then we have about 500 views with over 500 views with YouTube. So yes, big up you guys.
All
We
right.
appreciate it, right?
Yeah, we're making some good gains, eh?
I know. And we are talking about something very, very serious. Wills.
Yeah. And this conversation actually came because of a post that I made on my status because I had just bought my investment property in Jamaica, and I'm like, you know,
What?
me being big up myself. So we're not only talk the talk, you know, but we are walk the talk. You see me?
Yes.
So we are doing it. We're making investments, and we're showing people in the community that we know how to build wealth, generational wealth. But the first thing will come to my mind. Actually, it was somebody who said it to me that said, "Yo, Andre, you have your will?" And I'm like, you know, no, I actually haven't thought about it yet. But I'm like, you know what? I need a will in Jamaica. If I'm gonna acquire asset in Jamaica, I need a will in Jamaica. That puts, you know, like or say, you know, like who will benefit from my estate because you know the laws in Jamaica are different from the laws in Canada,
Mm-hmm.
right? So
Yeah. You know what, Andre? I wish I was more on point with things, but
mhm.
I too was asked like what me and my mom was talking about it in January because we were watching like a big up or Orlando Lopez.
Mhm.
His things are really awesome, like his webinars. So I forced my mom to watch one with estate planning, and she's like,
Mhm.
"Do you have your will?" I was like, "I don't." And she's like, why? I was like, that's a good question. And I think I was also talking to you about it, like starting to plan it or like start it up. Oh my gosh, the anxiety. Having so much anxiety and stuff because there was so many questions to ask, and I'm pretty sure like that's the same in Jamaica, that there's so many questions with your will. And I think the best way to start it off for everyone is to explain what a will is, right?
Exactly.
So Andre, what's a will?
It definitely is not. It definitely isn't Will Smith that we're talking about here today. So, I mean, I don't. It's not that we mind talking about Will Smith, but I mean, essentially, what it is, it's a legal document that gives someone the authority to distribute your asset or your estate on your behalf, right? So I will call it estate because the estate is a combination of everything that you own, right? But you know, the thing is, some people will say, yo, I don't need a will because I don't have nothing, right? But here's the key thing. A will can even explain what happens at your funeral, who you want there, who you don't want there, whether or not, you know, you can put, you can literally detail what happens after you pass away, right? But the most important, there are two really important parts to a will, because you know, I'm gonna write the will, and then when you're gone, everybody will say, who have the will? Who have the will? Who have the will?
That is so true. That is very, very true.
So you want to make sure that people can locate it. So it's one thing to write it or to draft a legal document, but people need to know where to find it, the people who is going to benefit. And then I don't know if you want to talk about the executor and you know who that is and break it down for the listeners and the viewers.
Jeez, of course, of course. Okay, so executor is, I hope I said it right. If I don't say it right, guys, allow me. Okay.
I think you go both ways, executor, executor. Yeah.
So the executor is a person that actually helps. Let me go with the term. Let me just go with the term. Let's keep it simple.
By the way, I see your shirts are grateful today. I love it.
I'm trying to be grateful for a lot of things, you know?
Nice.
I'm trying to be grateful. Oh no, I had it here.
No worries, no worries. It's Saturday. And the GTA just opened back up, so I'm pretty sure our minds and hearts is outside. So
I am not outside. I've been trying to fix up things. Let me just, okay. Boom. There we go. Make it nice and simple. Basically, an executor of an estate is a person who will help execute the wishes outlined in your will, describe funds to your beneficiaries, and can act on behalf of your business, financial interests when you pass away. I don't want to say die, so pass away. Funny story is you can have two executors. One, so just in case one of them say, nah, I don't want to do it. You can have two. And then I want to say the executor can kind of give it to someone else to play that role.
Right.
Example, my dad is my mom's executor, but my brother and I were taking care of most of the things. So you can have options, right? And when I was thinking about an executor, I was like, oh my gosh, I don't know who. At the time, I think I was doing it in February, March, probably March, like before all the craziness happened. I was thinking about it and I was really getting overwhelmed because I remember listening to something and saying that you should think about someone that is not like way older than you, someone that's like 5 years older or 5 years younger, just because things happen, right? um yeah, things happen and you don't want to keep renewing your will every time because you're like, oh crap, that person passed away, let me renew it and stuff, right? So
Yeah.
you kind of want to have like, I mean, you can't predict the future, right? But you would hope the person that you think to be your executor is someone that's going to live longer than you, if that makes sense.
Yeah, and it does make sense. Yeah, like you want, and I mean, you can always even a key element that I want to highlight though, like in terms of will, is that make sure you trust the person, right? You can't get a plankton to guard a will. Get if people know SpongeBob, I feel like there's so much to SpongeBob. Plankton always a try thief the Krusty Krab formula.
So many times.
So make sure say, yo, I don't know, what do I try to use the formula? You see
Yeah.
me? But you want to make sure that you can trust the person, right? So trust is a
Yes.
big factor when it comes to will, right? And then you want to make sure that so trust is a big element. But you can also update the will, right? So it doesn't have to stay the same because the asset and your circumstance is gonna change. So you can update the will routinely.
Yes. Let's start with that. When do you think you would update your will? Like, so here's examples. A passing, someone that was on your will, that passed away, you can change it then. When you have a child,
Exactly. Because that's a
right?
material change in circumstances. Yeah.
Exactly. When you've purchased a house, like Andre, what?
Big up myself. Not
Also,
one, but two.
exactly.
And more to come.
And then also just other things in your life that is happening, like life events that happen, business, other properties, other assets. You would want to update your will at times
Right.
like that. So right now, I really have to update my will,
Update the
or
will.
plan it and just
Right.
get things out of the way.
And your bank account might get a little fatter. Maybe this year you have 100, next year you turn 200. So, you want to make sure the
You
estate
never
capture the
know.
full 200, isn't it? But people, even think about, like, make sure you get another habit. Like, and I feel like a lot of people just sometimes they look and they say, oh, me not have this or me not have whatever. It's the habit that matters.
Yeah.
Get into the habit now of doing well. And I mean, I know even, a lot of what, financial institutions, they do, like even when you open a TFSA these days, they
Yes.
ask you like who you want to dedicate whatever to should you pass, right?
Exactly.
But even though all of that exists, I mean, if your estate get bigger, if you just have a simple estate, then it's easy. But once it starts to get bigger and bigger, you need somebody who can execute that will, right? Because you have a big will. But if you want to say, yo, this first to get that, but if you want to put conditions in place, right? So you might say, yo, this person can't access this amount of money until they finish college.
Oh, like a trust. Like,
So
oh, okay, I thought you were saying
exactly.
something. I've heard stories where like I've heard stories like, this person cannot have access to anything. Boom.
Yeah.
Done. And I'm like, oh man, that's intense. But we'll discuss about that later. And I love how you said pick someone that you can trust as an executor, because they might just run away with all your money, and everyone else is like, yo, what happened? Like, where's the will? Where is the will? So we can see what happens.
Right.
And what about, so that's the number one important thing to have, is an executor. And sorry for my dog. My dog's barking like crazy right now.
No, dog, I joined the podcast. So he's agreed. Yeah. I agree. Say, well.
Also, there's the executor, beneficiaries, because there's gonna be people that you want money to go to. There's also power of attorney.
Yeah.
So what's that? That's your
What's
role. You'll be
that?
able to.
And make sure you put, hey, say the beneficiary part, because I don't know about in Canada, but you know Jamaica, like if nobody see will and necessarily them name the pan it, a problem, you know, 'cause people will come and say, oh, my name is the pan will, I want go on, I want go on.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So keep the will secret. Just say, yeah, man, you name the pan, man. Everybody name the pan. I don't want to, I'm give you 110%.
But
Right?
it's actually very hard because I was doing mine, right? And
Yeah,
I was like, oh my gosh, who's gonna be on it? I mean, my family, duh. My God family, duh. And then like I had others, and I'm like, oh, but what do I give away? Like
right.
what? And then I was just like, oh, well, I have art. That's something,
That's something,
right?
yeah. Artwork, definitely.
I'm like, I don't know, someone could have my laptop or my computer and my
Right.
car, but I'm hoping that I'll have a newer car
I
years to
lie. You
come,
gotta get the Audi.
right? No. Well, like years to come,
All right,
years to
then.
come.
Zim Zima. Who got the keys to my Bima? That was the topic last week. All right.
Right?
I see where you're going with this.
Oh,
High roller. High roller. All right.
no. 5 years, maybe 5 years.
5 years. All right. Yeah,
But
that's my timeline too. Like to get a new
yeah,
car, you know.
exactly. And
Want to
then
get certain
what?
important things out of the way. No,
So
we need
that
property before car, you know?
that is true. That is
Yeah.
true. So that's that's the next thing. And then the power of attorney
Yeah.
is a person that that's the one I have on
Right.
hold.
Yeah, and I mean that's important too, right? Because
Yes.
especially if like just in case something happened to you, like if you become incapacitated or like you have a mental disability or whatever, you
Yes.
can designate someone to make important decisions. Me, I wonder who
Hmm.
we can do. God, I wonder. And then we
But
can't trust my wife,
there's,
please. You think we can't trust my wife?
of course you can.
Next thing we go
But
in at the
there's,
hospital and she say, hey, juke him so we can get everything.
but there's been a story where someone actually they're like, hey, if I'm like in a coma, I want you to, nah, I don't want that, right?
Right, right.
But the power of attorney didn't do it.
Yeah.
And then the person came back to life. Like they were alive again. And they're
Right.
like, what the hell? They're like, I
You never
mean,
follow my wish. So what do you do? Do you get rid of that person as your power of attorney? Like that's a tough one, no?
like at least, I don't know, because at least you were able to come back,
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like it's a good thing, but also in your mind, you're like, this person is not following my wish. So
Yes, that is true. That
you
is
get rid of
also true.
like
So
that's a tough situation to be in.
so whoever you choose to be your power of attorney, hopefully they will go with what you wish and stuff.
Yeah.
But if not, oh, you gonna be cheese
You're gonna be cheese, right? I just as you
so
were
bad.
saying that my mind is so wild. I'm thinking about anybody watch like Dexter and Dee Dexter Laboratory. And I just remember, I keep thinking about Dee Dee want to go push the button because she keep asking Dexter, what does this button do? So like
Jeez.
maybe you should get a Dee Dee to be, your power of attorney so that when they say push the button, it's just so push the red button.
And just be like,
Anyways,
right? Dark humor, guys. Sorry.
I know. Oh,
But
some lame
there's
ass joke.
actually 4 types. There are 4 types.
Yeah, what the 4 types them?
Conventional.
Mhm.
Conventional starts when it's signed and continues in force until you become mentally unable to make coherent decisions.
Yeah.
I feel like there's another name for it, but I can't think of it right now. Durable.
No, go ahead. Yeah, no, I'm listening.
Durable power of attorney begins when it's signed, but it stays in effect for a lifetime unless you initiate the cancellation. Okay.
That sounds very durable. Oh my God.
Woo.
I'm happy.
Springing power of attorney is this power of attorney comes into play only for when a specific event occurs. Okay. Triggering events has happened, I guess. And then there's medical power of attorney. I know for sure, like, here's a funny joke. So a true story. How am I gonna say this without? So my grandma wanted me to be her health power of attorney, I guess medical in a sense.
Yeah.
Like to be able to take care of her. And I'm like, dang man, I don't know if I could do this. I'm like, Grandma, I'm not really, that's not me, but okay. And then my brother is the power of attorney for like for other things. And I'm like, I don't want to do this.
Yeah.
So then I re-look at the will, because she has a will, and I'm actually the executor, but the second in command.
Yeah, big title.
I mean, and it's crazy because we thought we were gonna have to redo my grandma's will.
Right.
Because obviously my mom was the executor, but I'm the second in command, so I'm like, oh wow, so we don't even have to do it. And
Captain
I just
Doolittle.
like, this is just another like task that I have to do. You know what's the thing? Why I was getting overwhelmed when I was thinking about my will was the person that has to, like, the power of attorney and the wow, I keep saying these words. Executor. I was getting overwhelmed because I felt like, man, this is a big responsibility, or like overwhelming for the person that's mourning for me to be doing while they're mourning and like trying to take care of stuff, right?
Yeah.
And I was just like, I don't know who to choose. Like, I know in my head, I already have two people in my head. I might have to pick a third just in case. But I was just like, but it's gonna be so hard for them. That's what made me overwhelmed with doing it. It's not like the price. The price is not an issue for me. It was me actually thinking about who is going to be taking care of like my stuff after, and how are they going to be feeling when they're doing it, because I don't want to put so much pressure, right?
Right. Yeah, no, I agree.
And because I'm in the situation right now, I get the pressure, but I know how to block ish off and just keep it moving, right?
Makes sense.
One thing one day, rest the next day, and go on and so forth, right?
Yeah, makes sense, 100%.
Mm-hmm.
So answer a question. So, how, like, so me coming on more and do a will, where do I start? Like, you know what I mean? Because,
good question.
you know, like if I don't have a legal background or whatever, like who do I contact, or, you know, like, you know?
So you can contact a lawyer,
Yeah.
or you can contact a paralegal. My parents, I'm gonna say my parents have a will, or you know what I mean. They have a will, so we're able to go to them. They have a copy of it, and we have a copy of it, right? So it's always good, if you have a will, life insurance, all that good stuff. Have a folder, have a vault, one that, you know, just in case the place burns.
Yeah, makes sense.
It's still there intact. Or also just write down have a list of things for the person, like, this is who you're gonna contact, this is who you're gonna contact, like, if things happen, right? Kind of be prepared. And
yeah,
God bless my mom, she was really prepared because she had all that stuff in play, right? Have a lawyer or go to a paralegal. I was going to a paralegal because I have someone that's a friend that does these stuff, like she was helping me. Or you can do it online. I actually saw when I was researching, you can simply just go plan a will, literally. I probably want to say Canada. And then you just go to there's willful.co, and that's for Ontario. There's law deport.ca. Hey,
there's quite a few.
There
Probably like
is.
also a Google will, like where can I get a will
Yeah.
done or something like that.
But I think the best place is to go to a reliable lawyer that you
Lawyer
have.
or paralegal. Yeah, I would say go to somebody in person, especially
Mhm,
if you have like important stuff that you want to get executed a certain way. It's better
exactly.
you get like a real person rather than a standard, right? Because
Yeah.
online you want, you know, it can be pretty vague and it doesn't necessarily capture the essence of what you want, right?
Because
So
there's some folks that will like write a will and just like
yeah,
I heard like someone chicken scratched it and they're like, I don't even know what it's saying.
right, exactly.
But and I think in order for things to be in play, you have to have a will like notarized. I'm pretty
Yeah.
sure. Or it's like and I think the most important thing, and you mentioned it before, how people want their funerals to be or certain stuff. If
Hmm.
you really want it done, write it in the will. No one can
Yeah.
stop. Like
Yeah.
I've heard arguments or bickering about, oh, I don't want this person to, I don't want them to be cremated. All you
Hmm.
have to do, if the person wants to be cremated and they wrote it in the will, boom, you can't say nothing.
Right, exactly.
Can't say you can't. How are you going to go back on the person's wishes? I mean, you can, but then you would have a guilty conscience in my eyes, right?
Right.
I know I had to, and just because my grandma's not going to hear it.
You can't
So
understand here.
so my mommy did not want to be viewed, right? So I said, okay, only family is going to view. Yo, my grandma bought me. She wanted her friend to go view as well. And I'm like, no, family only. And she's like, is that her wish? I was like, yeah, she wrote in the will.
Hmm.
So she's like, and then goes. And I'm like, hey, but it was her wishes.
Yeah.
So I just had to,
Yeah,
boost
well
just a little
that
bit.
makes you a good executor.
I, I mean, I try. I mean, whatever the person wants, I will provide. It's
And
the
and
least
and,
I
and
could
I mean
do,
that's important, right?
right?
So here's the
Oh,
other, yeah, go
yes,
ahead, go
sorry.
ahead.
I did you know? I actually was booking this because you can actually and I'm not telling everyone to do this, but it's an
Right.
interesting fact. You can actually give money to the person that is going to be taking care of
Yes,
your estate.
yes. There, yeah, I learned about that too, yeah.
No,
So you can even dedicate a portion of the estate to that person too, right? If you want.
yeah,
If
even
the
though they could be the
estate big enough.
beneficiary as well.
Yeah.
So,
If the estate
um,
big enough.
yeah, be mindful about that, guys. Like,
Hmm. As well as
yes,
the emotional and mental stress that might come with it, because then that person's gonna have to deal with the family member, and they're gonna have to be like, "Yo, your name is not on this. I can't do that," right? And that person might be fighting in court. There might be legal costs to do so. So you want to make sure that that is covered in the will, right? That okay, the cost of any legal challenges, for the
mm-hmm.
executor would be covered by so and so, right?
Oh,
So
that's a good one.
here's the crazy part though. What happens though, like if I don't have a will? Like that's the messed up part.
Uh,
Like you
okay,
pass away and there's no will.
that's a good question. Cause and we had to get like a lawyer or someone with like experience. So, well, because my mom has a will,
Hmm.
everything was okay, right?
Right.
I'm guessing if you don't have a will,
Call Will Smith.
it's gonna be really hectic, 'cause especially if you have
Right.
like assets and liabilities, like
Yeah.
how are those things gonna be taken care of, right? I mean,
Right.
especially if you don't have any close loved ones. If you don't have any loved ones, you're screwed pretty much, right? So it's don't guys try to get a will. I I literally because of COVID, it's pushed a lot of folks to actually get their wills.
Yeah.
Actually, since March 16, wills like online to create a like a legal document online is gone up 160%
Yeah.
in the first 2 weeks of that month because of COVID. And
Yeah.
that's crazy because obviously everyone's passing away. Well, not just because of COVID, but those are it's gone up drastically because of COVID in my eyes. Um, that's why people are getting cautious and like, oh, let me get that will. Me, I was thinking about it before like COVID was even come to play because it just makes sense. Like if you have your life insurance, it's good to have your will to have everything like a foundation, right?
Right, right.
And even other insurance comes to play, like critical illness insurance, but that's another story. That's another
Right,
story.
right. Well, I mean, the other thing is, if there's no will in place, and if you have like, especially if you have like larger asset, let's say like a property,
Mm-hmm.
then you're gonna have to go through probate court, right? And probate court can be an expensive and stressful process. By the time you finish that process, it probably eats out like everything, like all the gain or whatever, because of legal fees, court costs, and all of that stuff. And then the stress of going through that process, right? So, I
Mm-hmm.
mean, like death is one of those things that we a lot of people don't plan for. But I mean, especially if you have assets or whatever, and if you have kids or even Facebook these days, you can leave somebody as the executive of your Facebook page. Facebook has
Wow.
that option where you
True.
can, yeah, you can commit the page to somebody. You can say, hey, in the event that I pass, this person have rights to access my page. So,
Yeah.
and I think there was some like some challenges with Facebook like long time ago where people wanted to access the pages of their loved ones, but Facebook wouldn't grant them. So no, they have that option. But
Mm.
life goes on after death, and so you want to make it easy for your loved ones to be able to carry on your legacy and
Yes.
carry on. And so remember now, I'm a big proponent of building wealth,
Mm-hmm.
sustaining wealth, and transferring wealth. And so,
Yes.
so far, we've talked about how to build it, and we're going to continue to talk about it. We've
Yes.
also talked about how to sustain it, and we're going to continue to do that. But what we're talking about today is transferring it, right? Wills and estate planning helps us to move the wealth from
Mm-hmm.
one generation to the other, right? Really important that we have one in place so that our loved ones don't have to go through that probate process, right?
Yes.
Zimmy.
And I'm glad you talked about the probate fees. Uh, I mean, ideally they say it's like 1 to 2%.
Yeah.
But if you want to have a bigger picture of what it is, so $5 for every thousand of assets up to 50,000, and $15 on every thousand of assets over
Right.
$50,000. So listen, the, like we say, the government's gonna try to catch as much money as possible,
Yep.
and you wanna have a plan of how to do these things. And I'm glad you mentioned like the 3 steps that we're trying to build, sustain, and transfer, because there are ways that you can transfer your assets before things happen.
Right.
And that's why when I'm thinking about these things, I'm like, yo, I got to get this into place. So like these type of things will happen because God forbid, when all the older generation goes, you want to make sure you have things in place so it's able to transfer to you and there's no worries. And
Precisely.
fun fact is certain banks, I'm not gonna say all, and it's actually one bank. I'm gonna big them up. You know what? I'm gonna big them up because I used to dislike them. TD actually said they can waive the probate fees. So I was like,
All
okay,
right. Number one.
I think I like you guys now.
Banker wave fee. All right. We love
Right?
to hear banks wave fees.
Right? So like when we were talking with my mom's lawyer, he's like, yeah, I can help you. It's gonna be 2-3 grand. And I'm like, What? To do what? To do what? I'm doing most of the work, and you are just gonna be like, oh yeah, sounds good. $2,000. Everyone that's thinking what to be a lawyer, to do probates and wills, because you'll get money.
Right. Yeah.
But the bank was able to like, oh, what does the lawyer say? I was like, they're gonna be doing this, and they're like, oh, we can waive that fee and then just transfer everything. I was like, what? So what do I have to do? And they're like, yeah, just do this. I was like, oh, that's the same thing the lawyer wanted me to do. I'm like, yeah, you can just transfer it over, and it's a done deal. So that's gonna be happening this week. So I will let y'all know
Yeah,
the
man. I
process.
mean, I come over. Now come for my share. I'm coming right at your door.
I got some things in the play that I want to do. So that's gonna be interesting. So this is why we're actually talking about it. I'm glad Andre did post it on his status, because I was like, perfect. He's talking about wills. I was thinking about wills. So why not talk about it so we can have you guys informed, because it's I know it's a tough topic, but our community is not doing the things they should be doing to keep the generational wealth.
Keep more in our
going.
pocket. Yeah.
Yeah. Like,
And a lot of the times in probate, we're overrepresented in those probate courts because we don't do proper wills and estate planning. And funny enough, a big part of people, I don't know if they're tired of it. People always share positive news with me and say, they love my statuses and stuff. But a big part of why I update people on my different statuses is because I want people to see in real time that there is a process behind all of this. And it's also possible, right, that you can achieve and do certain things. But as you start achieving a big part now, it's one thing to build wealth. But I tell you, the most important part though, what's even more important is sustaining and transferring. Because if you build it and you can't sustain it and there's no way to transfer, it's almost like one after the other after the other. But these two are more important than building, because if I said so now and I amass $1 million, right? All I need to do is to find a way to sustain that and I keep generating interest. I don't need to do anything from that point. But if I don't transfer it, it becomes harder to go over to the next generation, and that person could potentially end up not benefiting. My family could potentially not benefiting from that 1 million. Right? So
that's a heartbreak.
Yeah, you have to think about it. You can't think about, in isolation. You have to think about it together. If you ever get a brand new car, I will suggest for buying a car. You want to put that in your will. You have this car where you own, put it in the will. I'm gonna tell you, you see, mentally, I have friends who drive big car and whatever, and I know people who look for me certainly and say, yo, like, oh, why don't drive? You can't do this. Why don't do that? Like, even without Jamaica, some people look at me and say, oh, why not get a rental car while they're here? Why don't rent a luxury car? And I'm like, why am I gonna throw my money at that? You see, my response to people, even when people tell me, oh, buy a Audi, I say I will buy a Audi when I don't have to think about the cost of maintaining or how much it's gonna cost me.
True.
If I have to think about the cost of maintaining it, it means that I'm not at that financial level to afford it.
Hold on. Where's the sound? Oh, it's now. Hold on. Where is it? Exactly. Jeez.
Yeah, man.
Like, that's what we were talking about with keeping up with the flossers, right? Like, what's the point? Like, especially, I mean, I myself would love to have an Audi or a Benz. Benz for sure. But that's when I get to that stage where I'm like, I can get it. Because I have enough assets and stuff to be able to have the Benz or the Audi. Or both. No, I'm joking. Just one car.
Why not?
One car. And that's like, because there's no reason to floss and look rich, but you're not rich. Why not wait a couple years when you're actually able to be rich because you did the proper things, like how we
Right.
talk about building wealth, sustaining it, and then transferring it if anything, God willing, anything happens to you.
Yeah.
And Andre's lucky. Him have Nathan. Me?
It's there.
I mean, I have my I have my God family, so like I would pass it on to my nephew. But yeah, I guess I have to find something.
Yeah, I mean, I tell myself, you know, I mean, and people are gonna tell me some spoil Nathan, it's fine. But I tell myself that, you know, by the time Nathan ready to go college should be fully paid,
Mm.
and his first
Ooh,
apartment should be ready to be purchased.
ooh,
And he might gonna have car in a high school. He might gonna have everything I'm gonna have,
ooh.
right? And on top of that, I'm gonna give him access. You know,
Yes,
I'm creating access for myself now so that I can transfer access to him. But it's a
yes.
part of the transfer of wealth, right?
Mm-hmm.
Why would I, you know, and I think I think we talked about this before. I'm not sure if it's on the podcast, but
Yeah.
I don't really believe in the whole thing of like, and I kind of agree with what's his name? I can't remember his name now, but this guy is a famous YouTube blogger. I
Yeah.
don't believe in like making my kids working unnecessarily hard to get by. Like what I do believe in though is giving them access, right? So
Yes.
for example, access could look like bringing them at the table while they're having those business meetings so they understand the nature of how business work, right?
True.
Asking them to speak to this person, to negotiate, giving them the tools, like
Mm.
denying them and say, yo, I'm not gonna buy you no house because me never have no house growing up, so you have to work hard for it. I don't really believe in that. I'm sorry.
It's
That's
it's
not,
tr- it's true because we could be so much further if we were able to have a leeway, not like not spoon feed them, of
right,
course not, but like I said, I think I said before, like with car insurance, have your kids on your car insurance so they'd be able to have a history. So when they get their vehicle, it's not as expensive. You know how much my car thing,
yeah,
or when it comes to, I was thinking credit card maybe, but even life insurance. You have life insurance for your child, you transfer it over to them, and they know the value, and maybe they'll have another one.
right,
So they're really secured in the future, right? So they'll be like secured. They'll have yours, and they'll have theirs, and on for onward. Like
exactly.
it's
That's
like the next four generations are gonna be good,
yeah,
right?
and that's how you have to think. You know, like I don't know who I was talking to, but I said I'm the type of thinker. Yes, I think about today and next week and the next paycheck,
Mm-hmm.
but a lot of my time I spend thinking about the next 5 and 10 years.
Yes.
I kind of stop my thinking at 10 years. And then when 5 years pass, me extend the 5 years to the next 10 years.
Okay.
So I'm always thinking about the future. And so a lot of people looking at me now and say, yo, Andre, why not take a break? Why not do this? That is because I'm thinking about the next 10 years. And I'm like, yo, this is just the foundation.
Yep.
This is just the first set of block we may have put up in the foundation. This is the steel. This is the wall we may have built. And then 10 years from now, you look and you say, no, you know the boy Andre, Ray. And then you said, so now I'm reach 10 years. I'm said, so I'm start think 10 years again. I'm start plan and you look and you say Ray again. Oh, by the way, for
Yep.
those who listening, you know, Jamaican say Ray for everything, but it means something. Let me tell you, let me break
Ray,
it down
Ray,
for you.
Ray.
So yeah, man, a Jamaican say, all right, you know, I'm gonna link I went to see one of my friend and you know, him tell me some things and Ray, and you know,
And
and
I
then after that, I
understand.
go home.
And
So
you know what? That's how I speak at times. And hey, ladies and gentlemen, this is how we speak. It's okay. We're trying to break it down for you guys so you'd understand as well. So Ray can mean anything.
it can mean anything. Just it's all contextual, based on the
Exactly.
context.
Oh
So,
man.
but Ray have meaning.
Hmm.
All
And
right.
sorry, I guess sorry. Let's go back to the wills in a sense. There are different type of wills. Remember how you're saying like, oh, you don't want to be like, oh, where's the will? There's
Yeah.
actually, well, I don't know if this one will work, but there are holographic wills. That's gonna be new. That's probably like more in the future.
In the future.
There's oral wills. That doesn't make sense because
What's a oral will? I guess that's like
like you
I
say
want
it.
to think. Yeah, like you do a recording and you put yourself
Mm.
on the recording. And you're like, my name is Blinky Bop, and I hereby, hand over my estate to Nathan.
I mean, it makes sense, but people forget. And I'll be like, I remember what they said. They said so much things.
Yeah. I
Right?
feel like the oral one has to be recorded though. Like I don't think
Yeah.
you can just tell somebody and be like, he can't go in a court and say, no, no, I mean tell him, tell him, forget this. I can imagine how much people that pop up and say, him
Right?
give me the oral will, let me have the oral will, let me have the oral will. Oh my
There's
God,
a
sorry.
no
These
worries.
cheesy jokes.
Yeah, it's cool. It's cool. There's a pour over will, which creating a trust into which other assets flow. I guess it's just combining. Okay.
Right.
Mutual wills, a married or um committed couple usually executes this type of will. Oh, after one party dies, the remaining party is bound by the terms of the mutual will. Okay. And then, mutuals can be used to ensure that the property passes to the deceased children rather than the new spouse.
Mm.
Ooh.
All right, so the mate to them now get nothing. Oh God. I feel
Oh,
like the timing
shucks.
for that was just perfect.
Right? And
So,
then there's
Ira,
also living.
if you're a side thing, make sure say you ask in advance if the will is a mutual will or not. You hear?
So yes, folks, a matey means side chick, side. No, I'm not going to say that one. Side person.
No, I
Side
didn't want
person.
to.
No,
Oh
I'm
my
not.
God.
I'm not. My ribs, my ribs. But yes, also, can you imagine, like, if you write a will and you put that person in? Gee,
Holy, a problem. Hey, that would have
yo.
speed up your death. Especially if you're a partner, that has speed up the death process. Trust
Especially
me.
if it is in the living will. And there's also a
Right?
living will. So a living will is when obviously you're still alive and you're not able to, you're in a coma, you're still living. So there's certain things that you want to take care of.
Yeah.
But yeah, those are the types. I mean, keep it simple, folks. Have
Right.
just one. Um, Man, there's so many stories that I've heard. Like someone forgot to renew their will, got divorced, married again, and the ex-wife is in it, and I'm like,
Mm,
ooh, that's issues. Or just
that's
just
some
like
serious issues.
the property. So we want what we're just basically trying to say is get a will.
Get a will. That's the best way to do it. Get a will.
Even like honestly, what I've been doing is I just look at the things that I have and I say, who would I want to give that to? Like, I already know with my grandma, there's a special fork that I have. Every time I go to her house, I use that fork. No one else can use that fork.
Mm-hmm.
That doesn't even have to be in the will because my family already knows that's
Right.
my fork. But just in case someone's like, God forbid, someone's like, oh, what about this fork? Oh, just throw it away. I would get so angry because that's like like a memory that I have. And
Right.
my grandma she gave me the oral will. She already told me that's mine, right? So there's certain things you guys want to be prepared for, assets, and just so it doesn't have to be like a big debate. I think
Yeah,
that's the
makes
thing.
sense. Because it can cause serious breakdown in family
Yeah.
when there's no will. Because especially my grandmother, because I remember working at the days when my grandmother
Mm,
was around, she was trying to tell me and my brother say we have the title.
Yeah.
And I'll tell you, me never say oral will change so often. Today, if my brother do good, him have the oral will for something. Tomorrow, if me do good, me have the oral will feed. So you know, say one time she got a problem that between me and my brother,
Oh, shoot. She's
So
like,
that's why,
oh,
you
you both
know,
are there.
because if I gonna
Yes,
say
and
a theme, I'm gonna say a mine. Because
mm,
she did tell me say a for me. And the
yeah,
thing is, she don't have no mutual oral will where she come and say, no what? Me did tell the two of us say a fool, no? So
yeah.
me I take that back. She not take it back. She have a two way of going like a fool one because
Oh,
my
shucks.
grandmother good at taking people for eat that like, she tell we that and whatever. So we sort of
Yeah,
win and we're there working and thinking, say, yo, it's ours and whatever. When she did there, oral will it out to all heap of people.
yeah. Boy. And have you heard stories of a will going wrong?
No, I've never heard any stories of
That's
that.
good. Either
You?
have I. No,
Okay.
I haven't seen. I only seen or heard, not seen. Um like that's why I think life insurance and will are like the two things that we need to just,
Yeah.
especially a will to secure that life insurance. Because I've heard stories
100%.
that like the person just gave the will and it's like, this is what's happening.
Yeah.
It's out of my control. Like, this is what they said they wanted to do. Boom. Right?
Right,
So
right.
that's what we're really just trying to push. Like, we want our community to be prepared for these things because it's gonna happen.
Yep.
Taxes and death happens no
Makes
matter
sense.
what. So
Yep.
just be
And there's a
prepared.
tax filing that's required upon dying. I don't know how you're gonna manage to file the tax when you're dead, but just most of the tax to file. Right?
Yeah,
It's your
I
final
know.
tax return, right? That is required. CRA wanting money all
Mm-hmm.
when you're dead.
They're
Isn't it?
tease
So
here.
put that in your will. Who's gonna file that final tax?
Yes.
Right?
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, no, this was some really good discussion and people like, share, subscribe, tell a
Exactly.
friend to tell a friend to tell their family and the whole of everybody with them know.
All their loved
Because
ones.
we are not just talking about money, we are changing lives, right?
Mm-hmm.
So this is something that I never grew up knowing about or thinking about. And like, we are doing this for the community. We are the voice of the community, the voice of the people. But the
Yes.
only way we are going to bring about meaningful change and have impact is if you get more people to listen, tune in, like, subscribe,
Yep.
reach out to Cam and I. We are
Mm,
here, we are on social media, we're available, and we
yes.
love to have these conversations. It took me 4 years, actually, like I said, 3 years to acquire a lot of the things that I acquire now. And I'm not only talking about asset, but also knowledge, because that is
Yes.
really important.
That's true.
Knowledge is key, and it's a part of my Smith's wealth creation formula. If you want to hear more, you have to link me up to hear more. But
He's
yeah,
not taking my last name, guys. Don't worry. Or
we're
our
gonna
last
share
name.
it. We're gonna share. We have a mutual will to share last name.
Exactly. Right?
So I gotta turn it over to
Oh, I can't
Cam
drink
the
the water.
boss, and
I have to drink the water. Um, yeah. Just like Andre said, these are the things a lot of our community wish they knew. I'm fortunate enough that my family
yeah,
is secured with that. I think pretty much we're secured with most things. It's just now I have to follow suit and make sure I take care of my assets and stuff, right? And I just want everyone, if you've had someone that passed away, I feel for you, especially in the last couple of years. Um, and if you really, really love your loved ones, you will
yeah.
ask them if they have their will ready because
Yep.
anything can happen
Anytime. Yep. Make sure you
anytime,
have it.
right? I'm just happy that it was established. So try to get organized as much as possible, especially if you have a child. If you have a child, boom, you should have one. Straight.
Mm-hmm.
Like there's no excuses.
Yep.
Right?
Yep.
If you, no, I'm not gonna say that one. If you
Wait,
just got married, you should have one, right? Or if you just divorced and got one too, have a will.
any material changes in circumstances, make sure you update your
Exactly.
will. Yeah.
Right. So I just
Any
want,
material change.
exactly. I just want to push that because I feel like we aren't as prepared as we should be because I still know there's people that don't have life insurance and anything can happen. And I
Yeah.
don't want to see that to happen to my folks, especially my loved ones. So I'm pushing and I'm saying it one more time. Ask your loved ones if they have a will or if they have life insurance. If you have life insurance, good. You're on that right path. Next is a will, right?
Yeah.
You guys
Good
are like
stuff.
my family, you know? So that's how we're gonna queue out things. And
Big
much
things,
love.
big.
Like, comment, subscribe, watch us, rewatch if you have to, ask us questions. I know there's a couple things that we're going to be discussing in the near future, especially with estate planning, more estate planning, and I think we had to go back to stocks.
Yeah.
To go on it here.
I was gonna bring on some real stories when it comes to the stock thing.
Exactly.
Real people and them story.
Oh, so you see it. So until next time, folks. Let me put on the two.
I'm a fresh cut, by the way. I'm not even big up. Shout out my barber for the fresh cut. Not even put that out there.
Hey.
Big tune.